Let's make some lasagna.
Shopping. Hey, so first things first, it's really important to get that shopping out of the way. Fresh tomatoes, oregano, garlic, onions, tomato paste, some chopped meat, some Italian sausage, some mozzarella cheese, some ricotta cheese, oregano, or some oregano, depending on which side of the pond you hail from. The onions, the fresh basil, the garlic. Then you got to get those stupid little Safeway Monopoly cards that don't give you anything anymore. Make you think you might win $1 million, but you won't. Don't forget all those fresh tomatoes. Got some cheese, basil, sausage, tomatoes, meat, diced tomatoes, oregano, olive oil, tomato paste. Shopping. And this next step is really important. Before you know you're going to be spending your whole Friday night cooking lasagna sauce, you got to go hit the gym. Hey, welcome to VFC's kitchen. For years everybody's been asking me how I'd make my lasagna sauce, so let's give it a go. Here's where you're going to start. A whole lot of tomatoes, red onions, garlic, mozzarella, ricotta, olive oil, some diced tomatoes just in case. I need some tomato paste. I got about 4 pounds of chopped meat here, beef, to go with some Italian sausage. And of course you need some fresh oregano, some fresh basil. Hey, so backup spices, you got your oregano. You probably won't use it if you got that fresh oregano. Definitely some black pepper. I like this seasonal stuff. You'll need a little bit of salt and then backup garlic. Really won't need that garlic until you make the garlic cheesy bread. First things first, you gotta boil the tomatoes. So I like to boil the tomatoes long enough to where the skin just falls right off it when you... So when you're chopping up the onions, you don't have to get too fine, just get them into little chunks. Start chopping up that garlic. So when the skin starts peeling off, or it looks like you start to get to have some tomato soup, then you know it's a good time to pull them out. So when you empty out the tomatoes, now you got your sauce pot. Start the sauce with some olive oil. How much? About that much. See how that skin just peels right off now? See how... That's how you want to get them tomatoes. And they're hot, so use the cold water to get them off. So I like to cut around the middle so you don't get too much of the seeds in there. but you get all the juicy bits. You could throw the seeds down the drain because you don't want all seedy lasagna, but you just get the usable bits off the tomato like that. Get rid of that core. Here come the onions. So that's the start of the sauce. Threw some onions in there already. Get those tomatoes in there. We'll chop up some garlic in a minute, but we're just going to fill this pot with all these tomatoes and all those tomatoes and those tomatoes. Many of them tomatoes as we can fit in. Get some of these onions in there. Looks like a whole lot of onions right now, but once you cook this and simmer this for hours and hours and hours, it all blends together. Fresh basil. Gotta let it simmer for a while though. There's one more secret ingredient that's in everything that you get in America. A little bit of sugar. Just cuts all that acidity from the onions. But you know Americans won't eat anything without sugar in it. Let that sizzle for a bit. This is all sausage. See how that sausage is getting that golden brown look? That's exactly how you want it. a bit more spices on the meat while it's sizzling. If you overspice just a little bit, that's where the tomato taste comes in a little bit later. Tones it down a little bit. Right in there. There you go. You got that first load of sausage going on. Get ready for the meat. With the beef, it's a lot more watery than the sausage, so you want to make sure you evaporate some of that water out. That's why you cook them separately. Same with the sauce, there's a lot of water in those tomatoes, so you keep the cover off for a little while to evaporate some of that water out. Get a nice olive oil base. Thing is, with the sauce, make sure you're stirring it while you're evaporating that water out. You want it to cook evenly. It is American beef, so there's probably so much water in it because they just inject about 60 pounds of water into it just so they can sell it to you for a higher price. Less meat, more water, more money, more profit. You want that same kind of golden brown with the beef that you did with the sausage. Look at that. It's gonna simmer for a while now. So right now, with all these natural ingredients, the sauce is looking a little bit watery. That's where the tomato paste comes in. Use one of these little guys. Kind of grabs it and keeps it all together. Just use the whole thing. paste gives it that red color too. That's what I'm talking about. So while that lasagna sauce is in there simmering, you come out, you have some Portuguese green wine. You gotta let the sauce simmer, at least for the night, if not two. You get all them natural flavors. You gotta get that tomato paste absorbed into all them natural herbs. Put it together too soon, just isn't gonna taste right. No life like the good life. Go back in and add the last bit of that meat. Top off that sauce. Let it simmer a bit. Come out, drink some more wine. See, that tomato paste kind of got it so it's less watery now. And that last bit of meat will make it just perfect. So I'm going to finish up that last bit of meat. Add it to that sauce. And then simmer it for the night. So there's what we got right now. And now that my daughter finally came out of teenage hibernation.
LOL.
So take this last bit of meat, put it in that sauce, and then it's going to simmer all night and we're done. Till we put it all together tomorrow. There you go. So all those ingredients we had before made one pot. One pot, I said one.
One pot.
That's good. It's about that time for a taste test. That's some good shit.
Gonna do a taste test now. Yeah! Yum! Yeah, I rate that.
Rate it what?
You just rate it, like, 10 out of 10. Sorry, honey. Muy bueno.
Ah, yeah. Got ourselves a taste tester.
Okay. Really good.
So here you go. The sauce has been simmering overnight. Got 2 pots. Time to put it all together. Mozzarella, noodle. Nope, didn't make them. Ricotta cheese. No need to boil the noodles. As fresh and as soft as you can. If it's in the water, it's the best. Don't get that hard stuff. That's for shredding. Space the mozzarella in there so you can put ricotta in between. And just for fun, you can throw some shredded mozzarella in there too. And that's your first layer. And now we'll start with the second layer.
We just heard a romantic scene and
Throw
the
that
music that accompanied
noodles back on there.
Cornwallis Quartz Mirren. From the film Braveheart, music by James
it
Horner.
down.
Before that, James Newton Howard's music.
Get some of that olive oil on there. Finito. Go for pan 2. Get some of that sauce on the edges, otherwise those ends will be hard when they bake. So what do we got? About a pound of beef for every 15 tomatoes, an onion for every pound of beef, a clove of garlic for about every 2 pounds of beef. You got your season oil, salt, ground pepper, fresh basil, fresh oregano. You gotta go fresh with those things. Fresh garlic. Sneak a little bit of sugar in there. Sneak a little bit of red wine in there. Italian sausage. Remember, cook the Italian sausage separately. Don't cook that with the beef, because beef's got too much water in it. Get a nice crisp on it. And save that olive oil you cook the meat in. Put that in the sauce. It adds the flavor. Don't put this green wine in the sauce though. That you gotta drink. I always get this one too. Hey VFC, how much do you put in? What's the measurement of spice? Well, you know what? You just put it in. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. The key is if you overspice early, you got to keep tasting it as you're cooking it. If you overspice early, you use a little bit of that tomato paste, and that kind of evens it out. If you underspice, then you just add a bit. But when you add the natural garlic in there, the fresh garlic and the fresh onions, then you got to let it sit for longer and simmer so it all absorbs. At least overnight. You can stay up drinking green wine. So leave the foil on for about the first 40-45 minutes while it's in the oven, and then pull the foil off. You get that crispy cheese action going on the top. VFC's lasagna. So all that onion, 3 full onions, those big red onions, it's a lot of onion. So you got to throw those in first, because that cooks it in. You don't want crunchy onions in your sauce. So you got to cook that first. Same with the garlic. So throw that at the beginning with the tomatoes. Fresh oregano is the key too. Fresh basil. You can have that dry stuff as a backup, but you want to use the fresh stuff. Just tastes better. Cooking lasagna sauce. Some green wine. The Mets lost though. That kind of sucks. They'll get their shit together hopefully. No life like the good life.